Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Tales of Agmar. I'm your host and creator, Sinjin,
And I'm Eden, his wonderful wife.
and today we're going to be talking about the Dinterlands merchant fleet. So, if we chat a whole lot about cargo vessels today and just shipping stuff around the world of Agmar, that'll be why. This one's definitely more focused on trade and not so much warfare, since the Dinterlands isn't openly at war with anybody. But before we get into all of that, just some quick announcements, a lot of the usual ones. Uh, Book one, we're still actively adding chapters every week on Royal Road as of recording this. So if you just pick up with us, we are still on Royal Road and Wattpad, dropping those chapters going up to chapter 30. Our Discord, of course, is also open. We've had some people pop in. Thank you guys so much for popping in and saying hi. If we end up missing you just because we're busy, then please just stick around and we'll get to you again as soon as we can. Ko-fi, if you're really enjoying the project, please go check out our Ko-fi. We're hoping to get more art on there, but that's more dependent on the rest of the project kind of getting off the ground. And then we'll hopefully get some more up there so you guys can see more of the world of Agmar. Or excuse me, the world of Tales of Agmar, including the world of Agmar. And yeah, don't forget to comment today, though, your favorite thing about Tales of Agmar or sci fi fantasy in general.
Or your favorite thing about what you heard in today's episode.
Yes. So, with that all done, let's get started. Uh, it's been a long minute since we've talked about the Forgeborn specifically, so we're just going to take a moment and chat about them and a little bit about the Dinterlands just as a quick recap. If you want more information, they do have their own episode that does go a lot more in depth in what would now be dubbed Season 1. It's like one of the earlier episodes of Season 1. So these guys they're short and sturdy, so if that reminds you of dwarfs, that would be why. Uh, and they are the main populace of the Dinterlands. So the Middle Kingdom ends up being mostly human with a couple Terravan, and you get the occasional Aurelian in there. The Dinterlands, however, did I say that was the Dinterlands or did I say the Middle Kingdom
I
for the
think you
first one?
said the Dinterlands, but
Oh,
I'm...
okay, excuse me. Mostly humans is in the Middle Kingdom. Dinterlands is mostly going to be the Forgeborn, our little stocky, really smart guys. Um, and then they've got a mix of humans, Aurelians, and Terravan scattered throughout the nation states, and that's what makes up sort of the land of Dinter. So there are a bunch of just nation states working together and kind of not working together, mostly focused on perfecting the arts. And so normally people go there if they're very good at what they do, whether that's like baking, cooking, welding,
Yeah,
unless
metalwork.
yeah.
I find it interesting that it's not just metalwork because I feel like a lot of things take the dwarvish character and they just make them really good at like mining and metalwork and all that sort of thing. But I think it's cool that even though they're like the short, stocky ones, and you might not think they have the most delicate of fingers, that they're able to make all sorts of wonderful crafts. I don't know.
Yeah, I took the idea where dwarfs tend to always just be focused on one thing, and I was like, well, since they're already kind of ADHD a little bit like me some days, but just hyper focused on just mining and metalworking. Usually, I was like, why not just kind of give them the thing where different people within the species just get really hyper fixated on one thing and become really good at that one thing, and so that's what they do. Thanks to that though, and that big craftsmanship nature, they take a while to build everything, and so the Dinterlands thankfully has defenses, but if they were to build or implement any new ones, it would take a super long time. Uh, and for instance, when they're building ships, their ships really start to feel a lot different. So we talked a little bit last week about how the theocracy ends up having ships that feel kind of a little bit unique, but they're still pretty standardized thanks to the major human influence.
Mm-hmm.
We get the opposite here. So every single ship kind of starts to really feel different. They might fit in the same size categories, which is why we have some categories. But at the end of the day, if we were to draw these, each one would look very unique, while they would still mostly be powered by the steam engine, since the dwarves, or not, excuse me, not the dwarves, since the Forgeborn are still really exploring all the different things they can do with a steam engine. And it isn't until they feel like they've actually hit that max amount of exploration of the steam engine that they'll then move on to the next item or the next
So wait,
discovery.
the Dinterlands are part of the Middle Kingdom?
No, so they're their own thing.
Okay.
I know that's kind of confusing at the beginning.
Because in our last episode, or possibly the episode before that, we were talking about, I think it was the Middle Kingdom and the Theocracy, right?
Right.
And wasn't it the Theocracy that had more of like the steam engine, like steampunk kind of thing? Does that include the Dinterlands?
So how it works, and this is a good time to explain just because that's been explained for a while. So the Theocracy had 2 revolutions at the same time. What happened was both the Dinterlands and the Middle Kingdom came to colonize that same chunk of island. They didn't know the other one existed at first. Well, not chunk of island, but the same continent. And so eventually we've got the section where it's like all the Middle Kingdom colonies, they start expanding into this this heavily forested area, which has a lot of various effects. When we talk about those, a lot of them are negative effects, and so it makes it really hard to navigate unless you have the technology to. The Middle Kingdom did not really have the technology nor the magic to, and the Dinterlands did have the technology, and so they had actually colonized that part and had like begun to really colonize it quite a bit, since they take a while to do everything, and they were shipping supplies back. And similar to how the American Revolution works with taxes and just being kind of disgruntled with how far away your governing leaders are, the Forgeborn of the Dinterlands got a little riled up. All these humans getting sacrificed by the Middle Kingdom to try to explore this new area, they had begun to survive with various effects, had actually started trading with some of the Forgeborn, and through a various number of decrees, it'll get talked about in hopefully a future book one day. But the humans end up revolting too. Eventually, these 2 different big revolutionary factions find each other, and through mutual agreement agree to unite. They fight off both the Dinterlands first, since that kind of became the easier one to fight off because they took a little bit longer. And then they turned and started fighting back against the Middle Kingdom. And so we have this weird stalemate of a Cold War going on, where the Dinterlands actually doesn't trade with the Theocracy because of this, and the Middle Kingdom is actively patrolling a slice of land wall, basically, against the Theocracy.
Cool.
So, yeah. If you guys didn't know that before, there it is. If you did, hopefully that explanation shed a little bit more light on what's going on in Tales of Agmar at this time. So, for this now, we've got a merchant fleet. That merchant fleet ends up getting used by a lot of individuals kind of going all over the place. So some of those individuals may end up trading with the Theocracy, but not as like an official representative. So the first one we're going to talk about is barges. These are really just small ships, kind of what you would think would like traverse a river or a lake. If you've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, there's like those the Fire Nation river ships. I don't know what else they would be called, but it's a little bit like that. They don't look like that, but that's kind of like the size of ship we're looking at, where they're small, they can go places, they can move like people and things, but they don't have a lot of weapons. So, well, this kind doesn't have any weapons on it, just because they're meant really for trading amongst the different nation states.
So they can be manned by a pretty small crew, but there's enough space to transport things still.
Yes. And then the next one, so we're going to go size up from the barges. These are buggies, and they travel a bit slower, but they're still going to be faster than the next couple models that we'll talk about. And these ones are actually purely combative. So they might hit a little bit closer to like the frigate size or like the ship of the line sizes that we've been talking about for the other 2 navies. But then again, they're just mainly combative, mainly fighting ship to ship. They don't haul troops around or anything like that.
So even though they're focused on trade and they don't want to be part of any kind of war, they still have some kind of defense against ships that might attack them.
And this these buggies mostly get used against pirates and
Mm.
kind of protecting the big merchant fleets that might be doing like big trade deals. For instance, if and whenever the Dinterlands makes a big trade with the Middle Kingdom, these these buggies would be with the Dinterlands merchant group that ends up going over to the Middle Kingdom.
Cool.
And then there, yeah, I guess we'll just go on to the next one. I had some little extra information here, but we'll save that to be revealed in a book in the future.
Oh, good. Gotta keep
Sometimes
some details in
yeah,
books.
yeah, sometimes I think like, oh, I'll reveal this, and I'm like, actually, I shouldn't because it'll be more exciting in a book. But anyways, the next one is called a water bag. Part of that is just because I could not find a super good term for them yet, and so we're just gonna call them a water bag.
I think that's a fun name. Definitely some kind of like a nickname that people would give a ship, especially if they're kind of rough and ragged people who don't really care about having a fancy name.
Yeah, and this is just, and it's also again an overarching term. This is just the larger cargo ships. So these are the ships that would actually be like on the sea and like going through the sea. These things are massive, also works of art on their own, and just haul a crap ton of stuff. So the next one are called baddies. So
I was looking at that. I was like, what? They're called baddies?
yeah, so I was just following the age old like song of ships being female.
Ah.
And
I thought it was bad luck to bring a female onto the water.
oh yeah, but all ships are considered like female for whatever reason.
I guess they do call them like, she's a beautiful lass or something. And like,
yeah, like they're just all like female for some reason.
I've never thought of that
Anyone
before.
who's like super into like boats or sailing and wants to explain why, I'd be down for that as a comment or series of comments.
Yeah, why are they
Or a talk
female?
within the Discord. Like definitely come by. We'd love to learn more. But so these are the top tier ships, the baddies are, when it comes to moving cargo and keeping it protected.
No wonder they're
Again,
called baddies.
yeah. So they're like huge ships. They're usually owned by barons, and barons are basically just like really wealthy people that have like practiced their craft for a super long time, or just like really wealthy, or kind of inherit the family craft. And so they've got all that Miri. Miri is the money system in Tales of Agmar, just for those that haven't read the book yet or haven't heard about it in one of these episodes. And so they're able to build these super big things. They take years to complete. And this one, I will pop a little bit of a sort of surprise. There is a recently appointed Baron that claims to have a flying one. So not a lot of people can confirm that they've actually seen it, but he claims that he has a flying baddie. So basically an airship.
Well, now I want to see the pirates take that technology and make flying pirate ships. Because that would be very reminiscent of like Treasure Planet. And I love Treasure Planet.
Treasure Planet is a good one. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We may or may not get Tales of Agmar Treasure Planet, but it definitely would not be called that. Um, so that rounds out a lot of what has to go on with the Middle Kingdom. Sorry, not the Middle Kingdom. Excuse me, the Dinterlands merchant fleet. You'd think at this point, after have like been working on these factions for so many years, I would remember like who's who.
No.
But
I think it's like learning a new language. Sometimes you just get the words confused.
I've been learning this new language for quite a long time. But lots to explore. We're if you guys, well, just I guess we'll do a little bit of a sneak peek of what we're going to be doing next. So we finished all of these naval things. Eden and I have been talking, and what we're going to do next is we're actually going to start diving into the book on a chapter by chapter basis. And so each one of these 20-minute long talks, we'll see if they make a full, well, each one can make a full 20 minutes.
Oh, I'm sure with our rambling, there'll be 20 minutes easy.
Yeah. But we'll talk a little bit about what each of these chapters explores, kind of a little bit about that first bit. well, I'm specifically still looking on like a good format for that to be like, just so that we don't give everything away. It's not gonna be audiobook like how the origin story started out to be. Well, it'll be a lot more of like we're just kind of explaining what's going on. Maybe we'll talk about something we liked.
About the characters that were introduced in the chapter.
Yeah, we're gonna focus a lot on the characters just to give you guys a look into the characters. We won't focus a whole lot on kind of like what everything sort of looks like, as I feel like art does a really good job with that. And so hopefully soon we'll be able to get some live people artists. I prefer to use live people artists for a number of reasons.
Oh, we're not using AI. Definitely not.
Yeah, no, we will not be using AI. That is a big thing with this is once Tales of Agmar gets going, I'm not gonna do any cheap cop out where stuff that should be done by humans like art or like writing a book is gonna be done by AI. Just because I feel like as humans we have this unique ability to create and we should be able to express that and that we don't need like an AI overlord kind of dictating that. And so if you there's other things too like I've said before, I'm a computer science guy by trade, and so I've had this kind of struggle with AI and trying to figure out where it really should fit within my workspace. And I think I found that out, and so maybe if we ever dive into some video games, then the code section of the video game, specifically just the code section, would be augmented by AI. And what I mean by that is we would be able to scaffold a project faster with AI, basically making it so that a game could get out sooner. We'll kind of see. But I don't want to be messing with things like character models or even like animation. Um, Art inside the game would not be drawn by like, one of our AI models. So we'll see what that looks like. The the idea of having a game for Tales of Agmar is super exciting for me, but that's going to be a couple years down the road.
Oh, definitely. I'm sure we'll
Yeah.
need a few books out by then.
Yeah, but they'll be super cool. The whole entire since we have some time, I guess we'll chat a little bit more about this, but the whole entire idea with Tales of Agmar is it kind of becomes like this really big thing where we have a lot of different medias like we talked about in the one kind of like where we are now episode a couple episodes back, where we had like we want to do like more art. We're hoping to maybe do like a webtoon kind of like thing of book one, and then of course just all like books 1 through 12 plus etc. There'll be a lot of books that are outside of like the main continuity that explore like background characters, or we'll have like there's one character who will have like a couple video games where he's always a background character in the books, but like in the video game you'd be like actually playing as the character, and it'll be kind of a cool way to explore sort of that job in the Tales of Agmar universe because you just don't really get it explained anywhere else. So should be good. And then of course maybe an animation or two or a few in the
Or
future.
two or a few. He's got a lot of ideas. It's quite a big world he's hoping to build here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's quite a bit going on.
Uh-huh.
We got quite a few reveals down the way. So again, if you guys have not already checked it out, please definitely go read the book, especially since we're going to start talking about it now. Hopefully reading the chapters before we talk about it will be super exciting. Maybe if you're the other kind where you kind of want to know what's going on and then you're going to get into it, definitely do that. I've had a lot of people give me some good feedback on the book, both just on the website and then in person. And it's really exciting. A lot of people have said that it's really pulled them along. It's been a very interesting story, and it's good and like interesting in a good way, not like I don't know what kind of other interesting there is.
Yeah.
But
like what other interesting would there be?
Everyone always starts reading it and then they're like, I'm surprised how quickly it pulled me in. And
I guess you could say like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But that's more like that's weird, but in a nice way.
Yeah. No, they're very much like I'm surprised how quickly it pulled me in. Like I don't know how else to describe it. Just everyone's just been really surprised at how quickly it pulls them into like the actual story and the characters. And the only gripes I've gotten is like some grammar. And then
it's commas. It's all commas.
Yeah.
And the wrong use of a word.
Yeah. And then like descriptions. Everyone's been wanting like some more descriptors kind of going on. So I've been doing my best to add those in. We'll see. But super exciting. And we do have we have one more update since you guys are all here. The book currently is 11% as of recording this through what I'm basically deeming kind of like the final edit. There might be like one more final edit after that, but this is like the big edit where I'm making like quite a few changes, and the changes are really just like descriptor changes and kind of like phrasing changes. But once we're done with that, then instead of me updating you guys on the editing of the book, hopefully I can be updating you guys on like how we're going with finding a agent for the book.
That would be
So
awesome.
a few more months, but we're getting close to it being in print. So as close as one can be without having an agent, but still closer than we were at the beginning. Anyways, thank you guys so much for checking in. This has been Tales of Agmar with Sinjin.
And Eden.
We will see you guys next week at Monday, 5 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. Until then, wherever you are, be a good one.